Hello, babes. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Jenny Humphrey and the way she was mistreated, neglected, and bullied on the show. So let's get into it. Now, Gossip Girl is one of my favorite shows and always will be. It's one of the shows that I don't get tired of regardless of how many times I watch it. It was a show that me and my friends would discuss the next day at school after it aired and shared our thoughts and opinions on, and when storylines and plots flowed naturally and when viewers looked forward to watching TV. But this video is about Jenny Humphrey and why she deserved so much more than what she got on this show. So from the very beginning of this show, Jenny is being mistreated, bullied, and pushed into peer pressure by none other than pick-me elitist Blair Waldorf. Jenny is the younger sibling to Dan Humphrey, who, although he protects Jenny sometimes, for the most part he is off chasing behind Serena, and her parents are going through a rough patch before ultimately getting a divorce. Her mother runs off and has an affair with some guy and just seems to forget that she has children, especially a young daughter who needs her guidance and support, and she lives in a house with two men who will never understand what it is like to be a young girl who wants to be accepted by the beautiful, popular girls. Blair, from the beginning of meeting Jenny, sees her as her victim who she can have mind control over. It didn't matter what Jenny did, she was never going to like her because she looked at her as dirt, since she didn't come from generational wealth like Blair did. Jenny was a sweet young girl who wanted the approval of Blair because she lacked that maternal parent. Her mother wasn't around as much. I mean, she would visit her for summers, but it's different than living with your parent. Blair was also older than Jenny, who was a freshman, and I feel like she looked at Blair as a feminine, authoritative figure that she didn't have around and longed for. And Blair knew that and took full-blown advantage of it because she was an empty, dark, twisted soul who fed off of the light of others, and her beauty, money, and fashion were just a facade. She was jealous that Jenny had that glimmer of hope, happiness, and innocence, and made Jenny an enemy from the start, while wanting to keep her under her because she saw the potential Jenny had to rule. You have a lot of people out here who seek to destroy others because they're damaged and blame the world for the things that happen to them. There are some women out here who are worse than men when it comes to their predatory ways and get away with it because they're a woman or look innocent while being evil. They'll set up women to be harmed, put them in dangerous situations, try to break them down in every way possible, and Blair did that to Jenny. Jenny did everything to make Blair like her, but Blair was a woman-hating pick-me who always made women her competition, even if they didn't have what she had. But something that these women usually all had in common as the victims of Blair was that they were genuinely loved by their parents, family members, and friends. You could have all of the things Blair had and still be an empty shell of a person. Blair had people who feared her, not people who loved her. Aside from Serena and her mother, I guess, but her mother was barely there for her and her father was off in another country. And that relationship with Serena was constantly going through the motions. They broke Jenny emotionally and mentally, and then when she began to give people a dose of their own medicine, they made her the villain, as if they were innocent. Especially Blair. She deserved everything she got from Jenny and more. It's always been so troubling to me that a bully would bully someone, and when that person finally snaps, they almost always blame the victim. Just like in schools, the student always has to switch schools or switch jobs, while the deviant gets to stay put and looks for their new victim. That behavior just never changes. It's just the victim that changes, which is why when my younger sisters went to school, I made sure they knew if anyone even thinks they'll bully you, it'll be up and stuck for them. I'm sorry, but when it comes to bullying, I believe that person who was going around bullying people needs to be taught a harsh lesson so that they think before trying the next one. Honestly, what did Jenny do besides exist and want to be friends with Blair to get the torment that she got from her and her flunkies? Did Jenny have her issues? Absolutely. And there were moments where I just couldn't get with her actions and couldn't stand her on the show. Like her plotting on Serena, who was genuinely nice to her because she had a crush on Nate and became jealous of her, or her plot to take Serena down alongside Juliet. That was just nasty or vile behavior. And how she treated Eric, who was the only one who had her back and liked her for who she was. That always pissed me off, especially when she treated him the way that she did when she got a little popularity and the guy she was dating liked Eric and used Jenny as a beard. And then there's the whole thing with her getting involved with Damien the Demon. Girl, no. But what I feel like happened with Jenny is she became who she surrounded herself with. Even after Blair graduated from Constance, she felt the need to come back and still cause a disruption in Jenny's life because no one cared about who she was at NYU. And then Jenny figured, if you can't beat them, join them. And she became the very thing she despised about Blair and how they would treat girls like her. The funny thing is, Jenny didn't do half of what the other girls and guys did on this show, but because she wasn't rich and of status, she wasn't able to get away with what they did, which is very realistic. A lot of these spoiled rich kids get away with their bad behavior all their life and will get people fired, harass people, and make the lives of those who don't have their equal amounts of wealth a living hell. Chuck sold Blair to get his hotel back and she forgave that. But your man sleeping with Jenny, a minor at the time, and the same girl he tried to assault is unforgivable?
You. Get out of here now. And not just out of this hospital, but off this island. Go, and never come back. Because if you ever set foot in Manhattan again, I will know. And I will destroy you.
Girl, first of all, who are you? You don't run New York, nor do you own New York, okay? How is it that you feel you can just banish someone? Blair was really captain of pygmies. Something that always disturbed me was how they had Taylor Momsen, who was younger than the age of Jenny and was actually 12, filming intimate scenes and kissing with grown adult men on this show. It was absolutely disgusting. You couldn't find someone her age? Why did she have to film scenes with grown men? Like the scene with Chuck on that rooftop, that scene still enrages me. The rest of the cast were in their 20s while she was a minor, which she spoke about on Penn Badgley's Pod Crushed podcast.
And I was, kind of going to the awkward shy thing. Like I was so much younger than all of you.
So much.
And
you were 13, right?
I was 12 in the pilot, 13 when the show started, yeah.
12.
Were you the youngest person on set, or was Eric? Were you guys the same age?
He's older than me.
Oh.
When Chuck tried to force himself onto Jenny, Dan punching him in his face wasn't enough. Does he change later on? Yes, and I begin to like his character, and I think he has the most character development. But that scene was just skipped over as though it didn't happen. Almost everyone from this circle victimized Jenny, and to make matters worse, her brother goes and falls for the same girl who told his sister she couldn't come back to New York City because her boyfriend slept with her. The same girl who bullied his sister relentlessly and tried to take her out every chance she could. And you got close enough to fall in love with her? Where is your loyalty, sir? Both Dan and Rufus pissed me off with how they would dismiss Jenny's feelings and want her to just get over things. I also didn't understand how Rufus had his children in a private school with children who came from money and expected them to not be bullied and to not be ridiculed, especially by girls, because they didn't have the things they had.
Dad, you think that you can just send me off to school with a plaid skirt and a Metro Card and everything will be okay?
I am not apologizing for not having a private plane for you, Jenny.
You think I'm ashamed of where I come from? No, Dad, what I'm ashamed of is having to bring a brown bag lunch to school and, eat it in the bathroom and then go out with my friends and pretend that I'm not hungry when I go to lunch with them.
You don't have to do those things, Jenny. You're making a choice.
What don't you get? Do you want me to choose to have no friends? Well, clearly, that's not even a choice anymore because that's just done.
She had every right to feel the way she felt because she felt like an outcast amongst her peers. And Rufus acted as though she should just rise above it and not care what others have to say as if he was living it, as if he was the one who had to go through constant bullying. He had little to no empathy for his daughter, and those are the times where she needed her mother because she needed that loving, soft energy, and she didn't have that with her father. Yes, he loved his daughter, but he only wanted to see things his way. She was constantly taken advantage of, like Eleanor making promises to Jenny about her being a part of meetings with buyers while wanting her to make dresses for her buyers to see as if she was the one who designed it and working Jenny like a slave.
And Bendel's are coming tomorrow, and I have to have something to show them.
You could show them this dress.
Well, if you're offering. I do think that it would be good for both of us.
Right, because then I could be in those meetings.
Absolutely. When those buyers leave here, they will know the name Jenny Humphrey. I should have known better than to give so much responsibility to a child.
A child. I'm sorry, but this child seems to be the only one that can design anything that the buyers are remotely interested in. This is not about that dress. You are using that dress as an excuse because you are scared that if I am in that meeting and meet someone important that they will want to be in business with me and not you.
You are lucky I don't fire you this minute.
Oh, you are lucky that I don't just quit. Because then what would you do?
Like most big corporations and designers do, steal from smaller creators and pass it off as their own. Then she was dragged by that sick psychopath Agnes. First of all, where are the cops? Somebody call the police. She needed to be arrested and needed a good lashing as well. She didn't have anyone advocating and fighting for her, and then she had her brother running Gossip Girl where he posted nasty things about his sister. Sir, pack it up and go in the corner and hide. After she was banished from New York, Jenny has an interview with Tim Gunn, so she returns to New York for one day. However, she is a part of Chuck's plot in his war with Blair. All of her clothes were ruined by none other than, you guessed it, ding ding ding, Miss Blair Waldorf. Come on down. And I feel like Blair was threatened and jealous of Jenny. She was talented, and while she didn't have the same funds Blair did, she made use of what she had and became a designer. And it's funny how Blair ends up doing the same thing and working for her mother, like Jenny. I would have loved to see Jenny get a job or internship someplace like Italy or Paris with a major fashion house and have everyone seethe at the fact that she soared. I know Taylor left the show to pursue music, but I just don't like that they gave her such a salacious story as her exit for the show. I think they could have went in any other direction, and there were so many different ways they could have ended her character on the show, but this just wasn't it to me. And Jenny may have turned bad for a while, but she recognized what that world was doing to her in the end and decided to leave it alone for good. And with that being said, this video has come to an end. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure your notification bells are on so that you always know when I upload. And I will catch you guys in the next one.